Saturday, 20 June 2026. 3 Asia-Pacific AI stories before your first coffee. Anthropic has hired John Jumper, the AlphaFold scientist and 2024 Nobel laureate, away from Google DeepMind, signaling that frontier labs now treat scientific discovery as core contested ground rather than a side project. Jumper led the team whose protein structure predictions reshaped drug discovery and material science, and his departure marks one of the highest profile talent moves in the current AI cycle. The shift lands at a sensitive moment for Asia's sovereign AI programs, which have placed heavy bets on AI for science, but draw from a global talent pool that remains extremely small. Why it matters? Asia's national AI strategies, from South Korea's bio and pharma push to Japan's material science agenda and India's drug discovery pipeline, depend on exactly the kind of AI for science capability Jumper represents. His move to Anthropic concentrates that expertise further inside a US lab whose models already face access curbs in parts of the region, making the dependency feel sharper. Regional agencies in Seoul, Tokyo, and Singapore have started responding with retention packages, co-funded research chairs, and commitments to homegrown compute. But the bench of researchers at this level is vanishingly thin. The second-order effect to track is whether Asian labs begin acquiring mid-career AI for science teams wholesale, rather than competing for individual stars one hire at a time. So Washington's warmer tone toward Anthropic is registering across Asian capitals, but sovereign AI procurement across the region continues to accelerate on its own logic. Japan, India, South Korea, and China have all moved from white papers to actual budget lines, driven by data residency requirements, supply chain reliability, and industrial strategy that predates any single US policy signal. The momentum is structural. Multi-supplier frameworks are being locked in at the ministry level, and no single American firm standing with the White House changes the calculus for governments building domestic compute and model capacity. Why it matters? Operators and capital allocators tracking Asia's AI infrastructure wave should watch procurement budgets and multi-supplier policies, not diplomatic rhetoric for the region's real direction. Governments across the Asia-Pacific are designing AI stacks that reduce single-vendor dependency by design, which means even a friendlier US export posture does not automatically translate into larger order books for any one American lab. Builders selling into sovereign programs need to demonstrate data sovereignty compliance and local partnership structures, not just model performance. The second-order effect to track is how this procurement discipline reshapes bargaining power. As Asian governments normalize competitive tenders across US, European, and domestic providers, pricing leverage shifts toward the buyer, compressing margins for frontier labs that previously enjoyed limited competition in the region. Now, Washington is sending a softer signal on one of the most watched AI companies in the region. President Trump told Axios he does not view Anthropic as a US national security threat, a comment that lands while Asian developers are still navigating tightened export controls that have restricted access to top-tier American foundation models. Anthropic's Claude family is widely used across enterprise stacks in Singapore, Japan, South Korea, and Australia, and the remark arrives as several regional teams have been building contingency pipelines around alternative providers in case access narrows further. Why it matters? Nothing in the formal access regime has changed yet, so the statement is a political signal, not a policy shift. Developers in Asia who rely on Anthropic's API should not unwind their multi-provider hedges based on a single interview plug. The practical test is whether Commerce Department licensing and chip export rules evolve to match the tone. Capital allocators watching the space will note that Anthropic's valuation and partnership leverage in Asia could strengthen if the signal holds, making it a more credible long-term vendor for regional enterprise teams. The second-order effect to track, whether this softening accelerates Anthropic's push to open a Singapore or Tokyo presence, or to give it a local contract and reduce the jurisdictional risk that has made some Asian buyers